Hey there, it is Margarita Alcantara, activator for the New Code of Power, and I'm so, so grateful to experience Gila Nehemia. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, you
Um,
did.
Yes, and to, welcome Gila, because this is something where, she and I decided to connect. She actually reached out to me, and I thought it was such a great opportunity to connect with her and to also share her work with you, because it's so, so important what she's creating in the world, and others need to hear about it as well. And so can you give us a little quick background, a little intro about yourself, Gila?
Yes, thank you, Margarita. So I am a sacred mentor, poet, and author. I help guide people back into their universal wisdom to open up into erotically loving themselves and then magnetizing their divine partner. So I primarily work on divine partnerships, but really my work is about opening up into your sexual power and reclaiming that for yourself and for humanity.
I love that. And I was actually going to ask you what your life mission is, and it sounds like you were able to bring that forward today. And so, such a powerful mission, such powerful work. And so, what are your tools of bringing that forward and making that happen in the world?
Thank you for asking. So I primarily use writing. Writing as a healing modality, as well as to open up into the story behind many people's lives. Primarily, my clients are coming from traumatic backgrounds, as I have as well. So it's very challenging sometimes to tell your story. There's a lot of fear because of the lives that we've led and probably past lives as well. So once we can step into that, even it's just through like writing on Medium or a blog, or it helps not only to heal ourselves but to heal others that are reading it. So that's one main modality that I use in order to open up into the authenticity within ourselves.
I love that. And I know this is something you and I spoke privately about, before, about the whole throat chakra thing, and how this is the time that where we get to be empowered in our throat chakra and the power there. And so what have you noticed the most with who's coming forward in your world and your clients, in terms of what they've struggled the most with? I mean, I know that you mentioned the trauma piece, but what about that has how has that shown up in their world? And is there a theme that you're noticing? And how exactly does intuitive writing assist with that transformation?
Whoa, that's wonderful. So I'm going to take that a little bit piece by piece. So the first part is the way that I've seen it in my clients is there's as I mentioned earlier, like there's a lot of fear about really saying their story and what they've gone through, because of I feel like it's just deep. I want to use another word than fear, but just this, like like something is going to happen. I was coming from a very abusive, and even before, just a lot of emotional abuse in my life, and so I had a lot of fear about showing up, about really being myself, and speaking. Not writing and speaking. I was a writer my entire life, but I never published a lot on my own, because I just didn't know how people would follow me. Like I made up all these stories, like, oh, no one's gonna follow me, no one's gonna like what I read, right? And so when I was able to, and it started all on Medium, and Medium is a platform where there are bloggers and poets and all sorts of others, but it's a reader-writer community. And I, as well as what I'm seeing in my clients, is because I'm encouraging them to write. I'm encouraging them to write publicly. I'm encouraging them to say their story not only to me, but to others. And it first starts in smaller circles, like in their communities. And then it grows into their life purpose, because suddenly they open up into something. And now I'm seeing them really wanting to publicly say their story. So I'm actually assisting them, in terms of co-authored books and things like that, to just open up to their story, because I actually shared a post today that I didn't write, but someone else did, but it was really, really important. Every single person on every being has a story that's going to make you cry, that's going to bring you to your knees. And it's up to each and every one of us to come forth with that story. Because when we allow ourselves to share it, write it, share it, speak it, whatever, dance it, sing it, in any way, that shape or form, then you heal. And so millions of people here with you. So that was the first part to one of the questions. But the second part of the intuitive writing is what I found, and I was actually taught this by another person, one of my mentors. And what I found by using this method is that it gets much deeper than, I just give them a prompt, like a few words, and then they write for 5 minutes. And, they can talk to me for an hour, hours. But what I found in that 5 minutes is really deep. Because it goes inside their intuition, and they're able to open up in ways that they didn't even know existed. So it's been very, very powerful to use this method with my clients.
I love that. And that sounds like it really gets in there. It gets into the deeper experience, because I think that it is so important, the powerful work that you do is so important in this world, because the truth is that, what I'm hearing, as you've described it, is like this liberation of speaking your truth, which is so, so important, because when we're conditioned, whether it be because of what we've learned, or someone said something in the past, or, one thing that I've discovered, because I do a lot of shamanic work myself in my practice and with my clients, is that, sometimes it's a childhood thing, but oftentimes there's this old past life thing, in a couple past lives, where they were burned at the stake, or their family got killed, or blah, blah, blah. And so then that comes in now and shows up as, oh my God, no, I'm not going to talk. So that's why it's so, so important for this kind of work that you do in the world, so that people get in touch with that, understand the importance of their voice, and then use that as I want to use the word catalyst for change and empowerment, because it's important. It's really important, because as you said, we all have a story to tell, and I resonate also with what you were just sharing, because I also grew up as a writer, just kind of doing my own stuff, like on my own when I was young, but and then like now, but it's like that writing is an aspect. It's almost like a channeled thing that you're helping people to assist, tapping into for themselves, so that now they have a tool to be out there in the world in a productive, healthy way. And so thank you. I'm so glad you're doing this work. And I know that's not the only work you do, though. I know the whole sacred eroticism thing is a big piece of what you do. And so why do you even focus on it?
That's a really good question. So, I talk about divine partnerships, and when I met my own divine partner, it actually was about desire. What I realized was I had the desires that I have, and that I believe all people have, are messages from our soul. We're asked to do these things. It's not just a fantasy that we're, left to, just imagine when we're daydreaming and then put aside and live another life. Then you're not living an authentic life. It's when you go after your desire, which I did with my partner, and it happened to be erotic desire, that I realized that we were actually meant to meet. We were meant to do this work together as partners on this earth. And so I feel that, and what had happened was actually when I said yes, and we started to get together, it opened up into my poetry that I actually never wrote before. I was a writer, but I never wrote a lot of poetry, and it just kind of spewed out of me, because I didn't know how to talk about my emotions with him. So that was my way of communicating with him, through my poetry, because he'd read like every word. And that just opened up into reclaiming my power, as we earlier discussed. So what I actually do with my clients is I assist them in opening up their sexuality, because our sacral chakra is actually also our creative energy.
Right.
Because we can obviously create, as women, we can create children, but we also have, each of us have a unique art form that we can decide to share with the world. And that's really the point of it, because when you open up into that creative sexual energy, you open up like everything. You open up into your chi, you know, into your life force. So that's why I feel like it's so important, and it connects to your, you know, to your heart chakra, to all the chakras, you know. And that's what happened to me, and that's what I help my clients to find as well.
Yeah, I love that. So it sounds like the desire and sensuality and the sexuality opened you up into the rest of being in touch with all the rest of you, you know, and that creative force. And how is this all, you know, all this work with the sexuality and the sensuality and the sacredness and the writing, like how is this all related to Ascension?
Great question. So what happened when I was really called, and my clients are called to open up into our authenticity, was we realized that as you open up into authenticity, you just, you know, you it's like almost like a connection into the infinite intelligence. You know, the sexuality, the intuitive writing, it connects you into that higher force, into your higher self. And you know, even the intuitive writing, you know, really gets into that, you know, like you earlier talked in one of your lives, the pineal gland, you know, that third eye, that you're just in that knowing. And it really, you know, it's helpful when you talk about love, because love is just about that heart knowing. You know, it's just like, you can't explain it, right? There's no mental or logical way, it just is there. So and that's what happened to me. You know, I really realized, just as I said, it was my soul's desire, and as I stepped more and more into it, I was just having all these kinds of experiences and thought patterns and DNA, you know, kind of recalibration that I never ever thought would happen to me. And so as I take my clients through this as well, they get these epiphanies and these, you know, ways of navigating that they never ever thought would happen as well. You know, it's like going into the unknown, into the watery depths of the divine feminine. And that's what is part of the ascension. You know, it's actually balancing both the masculine and feminine energies. And we, for me and many of my clients, we've been so trained to just use our masculine energy, we didn't know how to access the feminine. So it's just really recalibrating it so that we're balanced and we can use
Yeah.
both for our own sovereignty.
I love that. And I'm so glad you brought that up about the spiraling together of the divine masculine and feminine, because that is, you know, that whole unification, that is the energy that's all here for us now on all the different levels. And also, yeah, there was that imbalance with the patriarchy, and that, you know, it's not, and it wasn't even the divine masculine, it was this masculine kind of toxic energy that was alive for a long time. And now, you know, one thing that you're illustrating is just that the emergence of the divine feminine is here, you know. And that's something that I totally resonate with, because that's something I also tap into. And so I'm so like excited that you also just mentioned that just now. And so it's here, you know, it's here for the world, it's here for all of us, and we get to access that in ourselves no matter what our gender is, you know. And so, or how we identify, it's like that is an aspect of our being. So I love that you're exploring all that and helping people get in touch with who they really are. So I mean, that said, I mean, how do people connect with you? How do people contact you?
Great question. So I have a number of different things. You know, I do these. I go live a lot on my page, and I just bring people in about, you know, true love. I also I'm on YouTube various ways. But I will send you a link to access my private group. I have a Facebook group where I give some more very free closed group, but I give a lot of information about divine partnerships and intuitive ways of being, you know, really understanding the signs, you know. So that's one way. They can also access my my Sacred Erotic newsletter, where I publish what's going on. I'm a writer, so I have a number of different things that I'm writing about, so I share that with my group. And they can get a free gift when they sign up with me, because I do have excerpts of my poetry And some people really do enjoy reading that. So I think that that would just give you a sense and a taste of what's to come a little bit about me. And other ways, if they're interested, I do have a group program that I've just recently opened up, a very intimate one. And that's an 8-week program, or they can work with me one-on-one. And all that information is in my closed group. So that would be really the best place for them to open up and to learn more about what I do.
Got it. Thank you. Well, I encourage, my viewers and readers to check out Gila's work, the Facebook group, her expanded work, her poetry, her sacred eroticism, and all of this work that she is putting out there in the world, because this is something that it really feels like a very alchemical experience that people get to experience with you, and a transformative experience to transform themselves, and then also ultimately the world as well as a result. So is there anything else that maybe I didn't catch or that you wanted to express before we wrap up our interview?
No, I don't think so. I did want to say, actually bring part of what your work is, because, when you work with that goddess energy, I'm sure that you work with all the different types of goddesses. And I just wanted to kind of say a few words about that from more of a sexual point of view. Sometimes we want to just be the good girl or the good mom, and there's nothing wrong with being the provocative slut, or because there's so many archetypes, I think we're all millions of people inside. And I'm just encouraging everyone to explore that part of themselves, because there's so much richness to our lives when we say yes to every part of our being.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm, thank you for putting that in there, because that's so true, because there's so much, I've seen this with many women where they deny aspects of themselves, and then they don't understand why they feel fragmented, or they don't understand why they don't feel whole, or why they're angry, or they're holding things that are not healthy. And it's because we have so many aspects to ourselves, and we need to embrace and honor and love all of those aspects, even if some of it is scary for ourselves, because the truth is they are all pieces of our wisdom. And so I love that you put that in there as, embracing all of those parts of our different goddess archetypes within, so thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Margarita. I've had so much fun sharing all of these things with you. Thank you for asking me, and thank you for saying yes to collaborating on this beautiful, beautiful interview.
Yeah, and thank you so much, Gila, for inviting me. I've learned so much about you in this short span of time, and, on a deeper way, because we're actually talking. And so thank you for extending your heart. Thank you for being here on this interview. And for all of you who are checking out this video right now, I invite you to check out Gila's work. If it resonates for you, please, reach out to her, join her Facebook group, check out her email list, be part of her community. And in the meantime, thank you so much, Gila, for taking the time out to speak with me today and sharing about your work.
Thank you. Thank you, Margarita.
Thank you.